podcast. I'm Kaitlin.
And I'm Darbi. So we've been doing a behind the scenes series. We started out with behind the scenes with, what was the first one? I can't remember.
It was our friendship.
Friendship, right?
Ours.
Yeah, so people. And then we talked about the weekends or what does our time look like. And, people love behind the scenes. I do.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's why we love social media and influencers. Like, we're just so interested in the details or the day-to-day of people's lives. Yeah. Like, are they really who they say they are? How do they live this life? Like, we all want to know those things. And so we want to be sharing those things as it makes sense. And so we've been talking about that and what does our life look like in certain areas. So today we kind of wanted to talk about behind the scenes of our quiet time and just the seasons that we're in and what our purpose looks like for us with the Lord and with what's going on in our life.
Yeah.
So Kaitlin, like, what has been going on in your quiet times lately?
Really, I've just been, what I've learned about myself when it comes to just sitting down with my Bible and the Lord, is I like to read through, stories of the Bible, books of the Bible in full. This is like how I like to study. So I've been reading through Romans lately. I was just in a Bible study where we in depth talked about Matthew in full, and it was so awesome. So just in reading through Romans, I feel like my purpose in it is just to sit with the Lord and learn, to digest it, to unpack it. I feel like when something too I've learned about myself is when I'm in people when I'm in other people's lives, I feel like I'm all in on them and I'm able to hear from the Lord about them more clearly than maybe just kind of more random people.
Sure.
And so I feel like I'm just learning a lot about that with myself and figuring out, Lord, who do you want me to be thinking about and praying for and in my quiet times with him. And so, I've just been reading through Romans and taking all the notes.
Romans is one of my favorites.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good. And I feel like for the most part, it's mostly easy to understand.
There's some parts I think that are hard. Yeah. But overall, it's Romans Road. Everybody kind of knows that's the gospel.
Right.
So I think there's some really practical things in there, but there's some hard truths in there too.
Yeah. Oh, I know. True. And, I think just in my life right now, Darbi, I have, I feel like I've been on this journey,
Yeah.
A journey of just truly discovering, who I am and what the Lord wants me to do with my time. And I feel like that's changed in the last month. And that, because I had this conversation the other night at small group. I said, I didn't realize that, because we took spiritual gifts tests. I said, I didn't realize that. I think that your gifts can change and develop as you grow with the Lord. Yeah. I thought you were born with these 5 gifts, and you might have some others, but these are the ones you're going to have your whole life. And I think maybe that's true for the bulk of who you are, but there are some things that change and develop. And so my top gift is teaching. And at one point in my life, that would have never even been on the board,
Yeah.
And so I feel like because I have grown to love the Word, I've grown to love understanding it, wrapping my mind around it, just diving into it, then I like to communicate it. I like to talk about it. I like to teach it. And so I'm on this path of actually knowing the Word, So that's what my quiet time looks like right now with the Lord is, okay, I think it's Romans 12, it talks about the mark of a true Christian. And so I wrote down, it's this whole section of love, let love be genuine, hate what's evil, hold fast to what's good, all these things. So I just am writing down all these things and then sharing all of my thoughts according to those things, making it really practical to myself.
Yeah.
So that's how my quiet time goes, is I read through and I may stop with, a verse or two and just sit with it, So tell me about yours. I feel like I could go in depth, but I feel like I want to know kind of what is going on with you.
Well, no, I think that I like what you said about your gifts, because I have noticed in my life, I've taken a spiritual gifts test. I do it every so often. To me, it's like checking your weight. Like when you're trying to lose weight or not lose weight. You have these gifts, and the Bible says that your gifts and your call are irrevocable, meaning you cannot lose your gifts, and they are fundamentally a part of who you are. Certain gifts, right? So that could be a whole nother conversation, but there are some gifts that are just God has given you to use, and as you use those, they do grow. Leadership has always been a top gift for me, but lately I took the test recently, and it talked about my teaching gift and my discernment gift are actually a little higher right now, and teaching was kind of like a mid-range for me, but as I've been in ministry for 5 years, I feel like I've done a lot more preaching and teaching, and so that gift has grown much more, and discernment probably as well, because it's really kind of a requirement of my job. So I totally think that the gifts that any strength or weakness that you have, if you really spend time on that strength, you will elevate it. You know, if you go practice a sport, you will get better at that. Versus if you don't, it might not. So I do think that is such a good point about that. Why we need to be using our gifts. Yeah. And I would say also your teaching gift, I mean, because you're a learner. And that's such a good thing. Mary Alice is one of my Bible teachers, and Curtis Browning, these two people, I just admire their teaching gift, but they're constantly learning. Yeah, always want to know more. Always want to know more depth, the context, the why. Yeah. And so I think that's so cool. I mean, right, because they wouldn't be great teachers if they weren't always learning. Yeah. So in my quiet times, I've been doing the 1-year Bible, which I've never done before ever. And it's a really weird way to read the Bible for me. Yeah. Because I'm reading Old Testament, New Testament, Psalms, and Proverbs every day. So number one, it's a lot of the Bible, I feel like, and it's all these different pieces, but it's been really cool to see how they tie together as you're reading these different pieces. But typically, especially when I'm in Old Testament, or like if a word pops out, I do like a whole study the Greek and Hebrew, and I chase one sentence or one word, and I want to go really in depth. I studied the harp the other day for a really long time, and what does that mean biblically? And I don't know, but you grow and mature even in your Bible study. And so I look back on my journals for those of you who are like, I do not read the Bible that way, or I don't even read at all. I used to not do it even every day. Yeah. And then the days I did do it, I'd read like one verse or one Devo. So I don't want anybody to be discouraged that like you have to read like us. It's taken me years and years and years to want to read and study the Bible the way that I do, because I think studying the Bible is also like your gifts. As you mature and you learn certain things about yourself, then well, and it looks different. Right now you're studying it in this way where you are reading from multiple places within the Bible. Yeah. But maybe when the year is up, you'll do something different. Oh, I totally will. Yeah. So I mean, I've read several different translations. Yeah. I love to do it that way. I actually heard Beth Moore a few years ago. She said, in every way you're reading the Bible, you want to always be growing. And so if you're someone who's like, well, I've read all this, and then go memorize scripture. Yeah. We all want to be talking about our next step. Yes, and so your next step is not going to look like my next step. Yeah. And that's the cool part of going, hey, have you tried this? Have you thought of that? And there's not a right or wrong, or when you're this mature, you'll do it that way. Yeah, I think we always change it. That's a good point. So let's share like a little piece from your recent quiet time with us. Well, so I've been in this season where I feel like my schedule is the most full that it's probably ever been, but I'm actually in a rest season, if that can make any sense to people. Yeah, Insight yesterday, I was like, Darbi, I'm ready to start working out again. Can we start Monday? No, can't Monday. I've got this going on Tuesday. Wednesday, I'm going to be here. I got this Thursday. Okay, let's just try the next week. I know. Okay. So every day I'm looking at my schedule. I mean, it is full hour to hour, but it's all things that I love right now. It's good things. Yeah, I met with several friends yesterday, and we were just talking about marriage and accountability and friendship, and those things so fuel me. But there's also these moments of like, is there something in my life I need to do better? Is there an area in my life that you want to speak into? Yeah. Because I'm giving these two people that I met with yesterday, I'm giving you permission to do that. And in the same way, I'm doing it for them. And there's just this accountability that I've really been seeking for myself and for others. But I recently have asked the Lord, what is my new purpose? Because even at work, some of my job duties have changed. And so I was kind of like, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Like, I don't know what my purpose is. So I literally asked the Lord, what is my purpose in this season? And I've been reading, like I said, Old Testament. And so I was reading in Samuel, and God asked me, where have you sacrificed and not obeyed? Because God desires obedience to his voice more than the offerings and the sacrifices, and submission more than the fat of rams. So when we have rebellion and stubbornness in our heart, it says that rebellion is equal to witchcraft and stubbornness is equal to idolatry. And that really stuck out to me because so often we are so stubborn about certain things, or this accountability thing keeps coming up because so many people don't have accountability partners in their life, and a lot of people reject that. But as Christians, it's biblical that we would have someone in our life that would say, hey, and it's not about calling you out or saying negative things, but it's going, hey, have you considered this perspective? Have you thought about this in a different way? Because I want to grow. I want to do the work, and I want to help others do the same. And so I was really just asking the Lord about that. And then he continued to just sort of tell me, Saul was a king. He was anointed king. But then because of his sin, his stubbornness, and really ultimately he was more afraid of man's opinion than he was of God's. And so ultimately he rejected the Lord. Because Saul said, I obeyed the Lord. But he actually didn't, because he didn't do everything that the Lord had told him to do. He did the parts pretty well. He did what he thought was the best, but it wasn't exactly what the Lord said. And so because he was more worried about what people thought of him than he was about what the Lord wanted. And so I think we all do that. But that was just a moment where I wanted to say, God, what areas am I sacrificing, but I'm not actually obeying? Because so often it's like, should I spend time with this person? Should I do this event? Should I go here and do that? And I always ask people, well, what did the Lord say? Yeah. Because if you asked him, because a lot of times we haven't. And so I think that's kind of where I am, and just going, okay, I know today that God has asked me to spend a lot of my energy with people, and so I'm doing that, and it fills my cup a lot, but I'm also resting in the terms of I'm not doing as many tasks, which was a big deal for me because I'm fairly task-oriented. Yeah. So. Wow. That's cool. Yeah. It's just, the older I've gotten to, as I'm almost 40, and I feel like I've gotten a lot better at how to be in a rhythm of grace. How to be, because Jesus, when he was on the earth, he was productive. He was always going and doing, but he had built in the rest. So there was this rhythm he had of because we want to say, oh, we're so busy. And I feel like I don't like that term, because there's a difference between being busy. I think it's the fruit that you're producing in it. Because I can be productive and my schedule can be full, but if there's still love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, and self-control that I'm producing, then that's a good fruit. Yeah. Versus if I'm busy and I'm overwhelmed, I'm not trusting, I'm frustrated. Yeah. Those are different fruits that I'm producing. That's good. That's good. I think we were talking about this concept of your purpose or your focus changing as the seasons change in your life. That's kind of, I feel like kind of a new idea to come around, is that not every day of every year of your life needs to look the same, with the same goal, the same mindset, because you're doing different things, right? Yeah. So, right now, I feel like for me, I have, I felt just led to give up some different responsibilities, especially within the church that I've had as just a volunteer, and I've loved, and it's been so good. But, I had conversations with Darbi and Pastor Dan, actually, that it came to this, this consensus that, Kaitlin, you have no free time for the Lord to give any opportunity to present anything, because you've filled it all up with good things, but there's no margin, and there's no margin for things that I feel like he's putting on my heart to grow in. And so I had to release them. I had to give them up. And I think I gave them up to, the next right people to take them over, And so what that's left with me is this, kind of a void of okay, now what fills your time? So now I'm this is a couple weeks in, I'm not, I'm still new to a new schedule. So I'm figuring it out. And so I feel like my gut instinct would just to start filling it back up. Yeah. Start doing all of these things again. When I'm no, the reason why I'm in this place is because I was doing too many things. I wasn't having enough, because I feel like it kind of goes when hand in hand with we want to spend time with the Lord, but we don't stop to just listen. Yeah,
we talk the whole time. And so we can never actually receive something from him. So I feel like I'm just in a receiving place. So I actually shared on social media. I did just I just did it. I just shared some of my thoughts from my quiet time the other day, which is nerve-wracking. You know, you're like, do I make any sense at all? Like, I just want to share with the Lord's upon my heart. But it's this whole concept of hope, reading through Romans. Paul talks about hope, and then he follows it up with, when you're hoping for something, you got to wait for it with patience. And so I wrote down just kind of, I'm a list person. You know, I'm like, I need to like really dissect why is patience hard? Because I feel like as a people, we are impatient most of the time.
Oh yeah, I am for sure.
Yeah, I am too. And so in this new time, I'm like, well, now I have to be patient and wait on the Lord. You know, that's hard. And so I just wrote some things down. I said, why is patience hard? Because it's too slow. These are just honest thoughts. It's too slow. You wonder if you're outside of the will of God. Like, am I doing this right? Did I make a wrong decision? Yeah. You wonder if he's forgotten you. Honest thoughts. You have FOMO. If you're being patient and you're not jumping in on every opportunity, then you feel like you're missing out sometimes. You feel like the rest of the world is moving on without you. You feel lonely. You wonder, how long is enough? How long do I have to wait?
Yeah.
Do I make a move, or do I have to wait on the Lord to make a move? Because there's discernment in that, because sometimes you do need to make a move.
Yeah, you do.
But sometimes you just need to wait. So here's my list. Why is patience so hard? And then, but I said, but God is sovereign and he does see me. And these are just thoughts that I had to I feel like I still have to train myself to believe and to rest in. He does see me. Yeah. He wants me to have hope and faith in him. It's a choice.
Yeah.
Which requires trust in him and his timing, and that he will make a way. He will make a way. And he sees that character is being built in this time.
And it takes a lot of time. I always think of there's two ways to look at waiting. There's waiting in a waiting room, like at a doctor's office, where you're sitting and you're not really doing anything. You are literally just sitting there waiting.
Yeah.
Or you're waiting like you're waiting on tables. And so you can still be serving others, encouraging others, doing things. Good. So there's an active waiting that I think can coexist within a rest. So for me, like I said, like I'm in a rest season. I'm not doing tasks. I'm not trying to accomplish any mission or cultivate anything to happen in my life. Yeah. I'm literally just doing what today brings. So every day I'm going, God, what would you have for me to do? And if it's a hard conversation, it's a hard conversation. If it's reading books and studying, then that's what I'm going to do. Yeah. If it's spending time in conversation with my kids, then that's what I'm going to do. Because ultimately what I'm saying is, God, I trust that whatever you have for me, you're going to accomplish it. And actually, when I was reading in all of that with Samuel, God said, I'm actually going to send for you.
Yeah.
If you will be faithful to tend the sheep, to wait on your brothers or your sisters, because that's what David was doing. He was tending the sheep. He was fighting lions and bears. He was delivering pizza to his brothers. I joke, he was like a first pizza delivery guy. Yeah. But, he was doing all the things that God had given him to do, and then God called him up to go and fight that Goliath, which just gave a breakthrough for him and his destiny. And so often we want to run ahead of the Lord. I did this for so many years. But you're right, like he is developing character, and honestly, I think that's the biggest part of it all. Yeah. And I even was just telling Noah this morning as he was asking me about these ways that he wants to evangelize within his network of friends or at school. And so he said, well, what do I do? And I said, no, at this point, you just got to practice what you preach, because their next step might be to come to church, but your next step is, how do you invite a friend that might reject you?
Is that not what we're going through right now? Practice what you preach.
Practice what you preach.
Do what you say. And it's so hard.
Well, because he was like, well, should I just pray about it? I said, no, the Bible is already giving you permission to go evangelize. The Bible's already given you permission to invite people to church. What you probably actually need to pray for is courage to do what you've already been told to do. So that's why I go back to, what has God asked you to be obedient in? But you're still going, but I sacrificed in all these other areas. Right. He's like, but I didn't. You didn't do the one thing I actually just asked you to do.
And I think we choose sacrifice because it feels like we did something.
Right,
We're a part of it. Yeah, we did it.
Not
God, I did this for you. How do you not see that I'm all in it? When he's like, I didn't ask you to do that.
Right. So I go back to purpose, and I've been thinking so much about this because purpose fuels passion.
Yeah.
So Jesus knew that he could go to the cross and be obedient unto death because he had already settled in the garden before that.
Right.
That he knew his purpose was to come and be salvation and the light to the world. And I think that was the wrestling of going, okay, I'm okay if my purpose is obedience, if my purpose is death. And maybe that's what rest feels like to you, because it does to me sometimes. But that's what he's asked me to do. That's what I have to do. Yeah. And that's going to get me to the next thing that I want more than all the sacrifices that I make.
That's right. That's right. That's so good. It's it's a shift in your mindset. And I think it's decisions like that they usually don't make sense to the outside world or to people that are not a part of your conversations with the Lord. So they're not going to understand it. They may not even support it. So it may be a lone decision. But when you know that it's what the Lord is asking you to do, you just got to do it, Just got to do it. Oh, it's so much easier said than done. It is. But I think just, for me, I'm going to continue to, hopefully take on David's approach and just be faithful in the things that God's calling me to do day to day, just like you're doing, Darbi, with the people, with the time, with my family, to steward them well.
Absolutely, because that's what he's deciding everything. Are you ready for what I have for you?
Exactly. Yeah, because if your character is not prepared for it, then you can't stay there. You can't even handle what he has.
That's right.
So I think in the day-to-day and the purpose of your season, that's where your character is built,
100%.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you guys have enjoyed the behind the scenes. I hope it's been helpful to just see that we're in it with you.
Yep.
Walking it out.